Hi, Harry. I hope you're well. Hi, Harry. Hope you're well. I'm just making this video for you to cover a few areas so that you can kind of work on your assignment. I'm sure you're working on it, but just to kind of assist you in your planning and your writing. So this is the assignment. Just come over here. I think your task one was your presentation, really. So just now it's about writing up your presentation, um, to a, if you like, in an essay format, really, and bringing in the sort of non-financial performance areas, if you like, into the picture a bit more. You guys had some pretty good ideas with that, so expand on that. I think you were still in class when we discussed this here. This is really a, a- an essay where we require you to do some research on whether or not wages um, actually have a direct effect on um, motivation, but in effect using some numbers. So it really is irrelevant. The 5% is not the issue, but this is really asking you to think about whether or not, if you like, an increase in wages would. So it's not about yes or no. It's about thinking about, if you remember, the hierarchy of needs almost. It's really about who you're motivating, and people lower down who are still trying to benefit. If you like, if this is a Maslow hierarchy of needs, who are still very much maybe on the shop floor, or where wage is still quite critical as an incentive for them. Yes, but if you're talking to a manager who's further up there, wages might not be appropriate. And it's really looking at the organization as a whole and looking at different parts. So maybe one size doesn't fit all. Maybe it's not the fact that we're giving everyone 5%. That's what's really happening here. And I think we did discuss this. Here, I think I wanted you to look at some external articles to support this. I've sent you guys some. If you check your email, if you sift through your email, you'll see some articles from me um, guiding you as to how to source this, where you can source and good information for this task too. Now, I think what you definitely weren't around for were task 3 and 4. So let me just break this down very quickly. So this task says, you can pause the video and read the question quickly. But what's really happening here is that they're thinking about making a long-term investment. So the argument here is quite simple. They've recognized that it makes sense to go into the video game industry. And so they're thinking, if they invest 10 million now, 10 million now, I'm just going to change my pen color. The argument really is, if we invest 10 million now, we could possibly get some income flows over the next few years. Year 1, year 2, 3, year 4, year 5, and year 6. Right, so what's the issue here? It says the annual cash inflows from sales are 3 million and the outflows are 1. So we know that we have a net inflow of 2 every single year. So what I want you to do is to put this into a spreadsheet of sorts and kind of highlight this. 3 minus 1 gives 2. So what we're saying is that we'll put 10 million in now, year 0, at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the first year we'll get 2, same thing, same thing, same thing, same things. So we're going to get 2, 2, 2 for over 6 years. That's what this question is really saying. And it's really saying, should we invest the 10 million or not? So the first part of the assignment is focuses on this idea of what's referred to as payback. And payback literally, I'll just change my pen color, literally just looks at the numbers as they are. It says you're going to invest 10. Payback asks, and if you spend some time, just please doing some research, just asks, how soon are you going to get your money back? How soon are you going to get your money back? So if you think about it here, you're going to invest 10 and you're going to have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So technically, really, after 5 years, you have your money back. That's all you're interested in. So the answer is 5 years. So that's the first thing. But so what I really want you to do is talk a little about what payback is, what the pros and cons are. It doesn't, if you like, think it treats these twos as though they're all the same, as though 2 million in a year is the same thing as 2 million in 2 years. But there's actually a time difference. There's actually a value to money, which is what we look at when we look at the next question. Um, which is what we talk about when we refer to this thing as the net present value. But let's just focus on payback for now. So how soon are you going to get your money back? And that's what we're really asking. So you get your money back in 5 years using payback, which is quite a simple method, and it's easy to understand. Now, the next method sort of realizes there's actually a value to money. There's a time value to money. So what that does, it says, is sort of recognize that, well, we cannot assume that these figures are all the same. So when I say all the same, that there is a value to money. And I spent some time in class sort of going through that. So let me explain what I mean. What I'm saying is that, to keep it as simple as possible, £100 today is not the same thing as £100 in a year, right? So ultimately, if you had £100 today, you'd leave it in the bank. If the interest rate was, for example, I'm just wishing 10%. If you leave £100 today in the bank, in a year's time, you'll have £110. So it does mean that if we think about it rationally, if the best interest rate you could get anywhere was 10%, it does mean that £100 a day is equal to £110 in a year's time, if you want to speak in that type of language. You would be indifferent between me offering you £110 in a year's time and £100 today. It wouldn't bother you because they're exactly the same. You wouldn't care. So, given that type of decision or truth, if you like, in terms of making these decisions, what we're basically recognizing is these twos aren't all the same. So the question is, how do I make it that type of decision where someone's offering me 10 million now? I'm sorry, someone's asked me to give them 10 million now and saying I have to pay them 2 million, if you like, over the next 6 years. Well, it's quite simple, really. What we now have to do is we can find the today's value of this 2 million. So what does that mean? If someone offers me 2 million in a year's time, I know, right? And I'll just go to a, let me just go to a, let me just go to a blank, let me just go to a blank sheet. I'm just working on a blank sheet here. If someone says to me, "Oh, Oyen, I'll give you 2 million in a year's time, and I'll give you another 2 million in 2 years, and I'll give you another 2 million in 3 years, and another 2 million in 4 years, another 2 million in 5 years, and so on." Well, all I'll simply ask is, well, if I put this money in the bank today, how much would I put in the bank today that would be, and at this given interest rate, that say, for example, 10%, and if I left this money in the bank today, and in a year's time, at the rate of 10%, it would equate to 2 million. What is this amount? That's the question. Then the next question I'm asking is, if I put a certain amount of money today in the bank and left it in the bank for 2 years at 10%, compound, of course, what would it be equal to 2 million? And I'm doing exactly the same thing for all the 6 years. We can do this. There's nothing complicated. I mean, I could tell you that this is like 1.909 million. If you put 1.909 million in the bank today, and you leave it in the bank, take 10% of that, if you like, and add it onto this, of course, you'll have 2 million. And we can literally find these base amounts that we would leave in the bank today. So it means that when someone is saying to me, "Oh, I'll just change my pen color," so you see the very clear difference here. When someone is saying to me, "Oh, Oyen, here is 10 million. Give me 10 million of your money now, and I will give you 2 million in a year's time, 2 million in 2 years." He's literally saying to me, "Oyen, give me 10 million today, and I will give you 1.9 million now, the present value of this 2 million now, the present value of this 2 million now, today's value or present value of this." So I can make this decision in real time. I can almost sort of think of him offering me 10 and asking me for 10 million now and offering me these today figures right now. That's what I'm ultimately trying to do. That's the nutshell of this decision-making process. And if these returns are higher than this, I'll take it. If today's returns are lower than this, I won't. I'll reject the offer. based on a monetary decision. Right. So let's kind of go back to how we then find this situation, how we deal with this. So what you see here is where am I? I'll just go back here and I'll come here and we will come here. Yes, so we're given these charts that help us do this. Now, this is just information for you. It doesn't really, I'm just showing you that we already have prepared documents that help us find this. So you're doing it at 10%, and we have these tables that help us. And those are the figures that we would multiply. So for example, where we say year one, 2 million, year two, 2 million, year three, 2 million, year four, 2 million, year five, 2 million, year six, 2 million. Well, here's the thing. If I want to know what today's value is of 2 million, now I would multiply. This is year period one. I'm going to go, I'd multiply 2 times 0.909, and that will give me my figure. For this one, for the next one, for year period 2, I'd multiply 2 times 0.826, and I'll multiply 2 by 0.751, and I'll keep going. And 2 times 0.909, I don't have a calculator with me, so I'm going to have to do this manually. 18, 1.818. So my present value of this is 1.818. I will find all the present values of these, and you can see what and just put that in a little and add them all together and see if that is less or greater than 10 million. Right? And so once you've done that, based on as far as the maths is concerned, it makes sense. It'll tell you whether or not it's a viable, whether the project is if you've got a negative, a positive, or a positive net present value or a negative net present value. Now, the reason why I'm not doing the whole thing is because I think I want you to just try it because you're coming into class tomorrow anyway. So I think it's good that you have a go at working on that. So when you then it says that, but here's the thing. That's just the maths. So what you still need to think about is whether or not, well, whether it's positive or negative. There's some issues with this. These are all forecasts. Things might get better. Things might get worse. We're talking about a new industry. It's talking about China. Things might totally explode. It might be a way in. So those are all the other discussions you're going to have around the numbers. But first of all, you have to do the numbers, right? So I suggest you use a spreadsheet and play around with your numbers so that when we speak tomorrow, you already have some pre-knowledge of what we're talking about. Cool. I'll make a second video on task 4 in after this for you as well. All right. Cheers.